course it is wrong. What the prophets do is not that they bring the curse, they separate the curse from the blessing. This is what they do. This process is declared as a process of shifting by the Holy Quran repeatedly, not only in this verse but in other verses too. In other verses which I quoted earlier, the prophets are said to sift the right from the wrong. When they come, by the trial of acceptance or rejection, those people who are right-minded, only they accept them. That is to say that the age was already cursed. People, a curse was not brought by the prophets upon the people, but people were already in a state of cursedness. They were in a rotten state, in a corrupt state. And it was a blessing of Allah that from among them some were saved. This is the process, the correct process as described by the Holy Quran. Not as a past sees it. He sees it completely distorted way from the opposite side. He inverts it into completely a different picture altogether. So let me make it clear. When the prophets come, as Iqbal would have us believe, it is not that because people are put to a trial and because some reject him, so they are cursed. It is not so at all. The fact is, Zahar al-Fasad fil barri wal bahr. The whole mankind has become corrupt, or does become corrupt before the Prophet's days. So what the Prophet does is, he saves some who can be saved from among them, from ultimate destruction. When the mankind is about to be doomed entirely in totality, then the prophets come to save some of them at least. And when some are saved, a process is started whereby other people start following them, and more are saved with the grace of Allah. So if that be a curse, then this curse should be repeated. This should be a most welcome curse. And if that not be a curse, then the curse, if the curse is what Iqbal sees, then as I have already said, Allah has been cursing mankind for so long, he must have been so accustomed to it. Why change his ways now? Rather, isn't it rather late in life for Allah to change that age-old custom of his? Now coming to other barriers, scriptural barriers are also created. Scriptures are quoted in support of these views, and when I say scriptural barriers, they apply to all these barriers which I have mentioned earlier. They draw their authority from the scriptures and somehow distort the meaning of the scriptures to support their distorted view that Allah will not send a prophet thereafter. In fact, they don't want to accept that blessing of Allah. And in fact, the universal truth is, Ya Hadhrat al-Riwad, Ma yatihim rusulun illa kanu bihi yastahzi'un. Never has mankind found itself in the right frame to accept prophets. And never shall mankind find itself in the right frame to accept prophet. This is a universal law which has no exception, no deviation. Now, the scriptures are quoted, and in regard to Hadhrat Massih-e-maud's claims, also the scriptures are quoted. Because I have already discussed this issue at length in various previous addresses, so I will not repeat that. Only I will explain a certain verse of the Holy Quran in this regard to the scriptural evidences they produce, which although I quoted earlier, but I think it should be brought to greater prominence, and it should be much more emphasized than is so far done by Jamaat Ahmadiyya, because it's a very fundamental verse to the whole issue, and it also makes us help understand the phenomenon of prophethood and continuity of prophethood. In what sense it should be done, and in what sense should it be believed. And when you ponder over this issue raised in the verse in question, which I am just going to recite, a very beautiful picture emerges. A most beautiful and most universal picture emerges, which has a continuity in time, and it gains a global aspect. It is no longer regional, the phenomenon of prophethood, no longer related to time. It becomes a global universal phenomenon, as it should be, because it is something which is related to God. It becomes a timeless phenomenon, as it should be, because it is related to Allah, who is timeless. So in what way this verse should be understood and emphasized, this is what I am going to tell you today. I refer to the covenant of prophets. This covenant is of the vital importance in understanding the nature of prophethood and why prophets have been coming and why they should come, and how we should sort out the right prophet from the wrong. All that has been described in these two verses which I am going to quote. وَإِذْ أَخَذْنَا مِنَ النَّبِيِّينَ مِيثَاقَهُمْ وَمِنْكَ وَمِنْ نُوحٍ وَإِبْرَاهِيمَ وَمُوسَى وَعِيسَى ابْنَ مَرْيَمَ وَأَخَذْنَا مِنْهُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا لِيَسْأَلَ السُّعَاةَ فِيهِمْ عَنْ صِدْقِهِمْ وَأَعَدَّ لِلْكَافِرِينَ عَذَابًا أَلِيمًا. This verse is taken from Surah Al-Ahzab. The two verses which I have quoted have been taken from Surah Al-Ahzab 8 and 9. The translation of the verses in English is this: "And O Prophet Muhammad," that is implied, "call to mind when we took from the prophets their covenant." Now, obviously all the earlier prophets are referred to, and the covenant is referred to which was taken from all the prophets. But a strange parenthesis is added here. A strange statement is added in parenthesis here, "Waminka." And that covenant of prophets we have also taken from thee, O Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. This is the most important point to be understood about this covenant. That it did not come to an end with the coming of Ahmad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but it continued. And the same covenant was taken from Hadhrat sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself, as had been taken previously from all prophets. For instance, the Holy Quran goes on explaining, "Min Nuh wa Ibrahim wa Musa wa Isa ibn Maryam wa akhadna minhum mithaqan ghaliza." Now this covenant which we took from them and other prophets before them